Hey guys, Carl Cooper with OnTheBlack.com. Today is Friday, August 21st, 2009. So the Mets dropped 2 out of 3 to the Braves as they continue to limp towards the finish line here for this 2009 season. And I really have sort of 3 takeaways from this series, and really they're more news than anything else. The first is Livan Hernandez was released by the Mets to make room for Billy Wagner, and Livan finished the season this year with a record of 7-8 and a 5.4 earned run average. Really roller coaster of a season for Livan Hernandez. He was invited to camp before the season started to compete for the 5th spot. I think surprisingly he won the 5th spot overwhelmingly during spring training, and then he really pitched pretty well the first couple of months of the season. Especially when the Mets needed some good pitching performances. He really did pitch okay, but it was over these last 2 to 3 months here where he really lost it and just had nothing left in the tank. So really sort of an up and down season for Livan Hernandez. Second point, Billy Wagner made his return last night, looked excellent, pitched 1 inning, got all 3 batters out in a row, struck out 2 of the batters, really consistently hit 95, 96 on the gun. So good to see Wagner with a nice live arm. And I guess there are 2 questions here that the Mets organization need to ask. One is, should they try to trade Wagner before the deadline here and see if they can get something for him? And if they don't trade him, this coming off season, that Wagner does have a team option, and will the Mets try to pick up that option and have him in the bullpen maybe as the 8th inning guy next year? I think the Mets need to watch it a little bit on that. One is Wagner's option next year, I believe, is for about $8 million, so that's an expensive option for a setup man. And 2, I'm sure Wagner wants to be a closer next year, and so to pick up that option and force him to come back and be the setup guy next year, if the Mets decide to do that, might cause some issues there. So we'll see what the Mets do, but nice to see Wagner return from injury last night, especially in a season where the Mets seem to have lost everyone to an injury. It's good to see someone come back. And then the third sort of point that I have in this series is Gary Sheffield. Apparently, Sheffield sat out last night. He did get a pinch hit, but apparently he was upset before the game. It was reported in a number of places that Sheffield asked Mets management for a contract extension yesterday. He did not get that, so he was unhappy. Told Manuel yesterday that he didn't want to start, needed a day of rest. And a lot of people are sort of trying to put these pieces together and say that Sheffield may have sat out on purpose yesterday because he was unhappy about his contract. Now, a couple things on Sheffield. When we signed him, I thought it was a good signing. The Mets got him for about $400,000, and the Tigers are paying the majority of his salary this year. So I thought that it was a good signing by the Mets, and he did help out this team earlier in the year. But also, we all knew that coming into the season that if the team wasn't playing well and Sheffield didn't get his way, that we might see him acting up a little bit. And guess what happened? The team is not playing well, and apparently he didn't get his way yesterday with the contract. So not surprising if this is the case that Sheffield has a bit of an attitude here. Now it's time for my who's hot, who's not. Who's hot right now? Luis Castillo. I know he made a bad defensive play the other night, not moving to second base to get the force out, and Anderson Hernandez had to throw the ball to first base. The runner was safe, and that led to the Braves exploding in that inning for, I believe it was 8 runs. So I know he made a bad defensive play, but Castillo, in a season when everyone's injured, has been pretty steady this year. He's batting .312 on the season, and he had 7 hits in this Braves series. So Luis Castillo hot at the plate for the Mets. On the flip side, who's not hot? Brian Schneider. Schneider has a total of 3 hits in the month of August. That's right, 3 hits in the entire month of August. Now, obviously, he doesn't play every day, but it is, we are almost to the end of the month, and for him to only have 3 hits is pretty bad. So Brian Schneider not hot right now in the Mets lineup. Up next for the Mets, 4-game series here against the Phillies this weekend, and sort of 2 things to look out for this weekend, in my opinion. The The first is the Mets will be celebrating the 40-year anniversary of the 1969 World Series champion New York Mets, so that'll be a lot of fun this weekend. Look out for a post I'll have on that later today. For those of you who watch this video on YouTube, you'll have to go to ontheblack.com to see that post. It will not be on YouTube. And the second takeaway is Sunday, Pedro Martinez is scheduled to pitch against the Mets. So it'll be interesting to see, one, the type of reception he gets from the fans. Would love to hear some comments on that. And two, if the Mets get up a little extra for that game. So that'll be interesting to watch as the Mets battle the Phillies this weekend. And that's it for my series recap, guys. Let me know what you think. Talk to you soon.